Hey, everybody, and welcome to this special live edition of the DVC Show. I am your host, Paul Krieger. I've got my lovely wife, Amy Krieger, and you are stuck with us tonight for as long as we care to ramble on about Disney Vacation Club, Disney, and Hurricane Milton. Did you know my great-grandfather's name is Milton, and now I wonder what he has against us at this point in time?
No, but there's literally a hurricane. Everybody's name has been a hurricane, I think, if you look into it.
Hurricane Amy?
Yeah, I'm sure. At some point.
Someone look up Hurricane Amy and tell us about...
Let us know if you've ever been a hurricane.
Let us know if you've ever been a hurricane. Well, welcome. Thank you guys for joining us for this special live edition of the DVC Show. The rest of our team sends their love. Derek, actually, dvcresalemarket.com right now. If you head over there and chat, or if you give him a phone call, blow him up over there and tell him we love him. But he is working, selling some resale contracts over there at the moment. Panda is at home preparing for Hurricane Milton's arrival, as we've been doing throughout the day today. And I think at some point during this live stream, Jeff Haslam is going to pull a Jim Cantori live from Walt Disney World.
I don't think so, though. He's eating at Ohana. So did he talk?
Oh, we've talked. We've talked, and it's going to happen.
Oh,
we will figure it out whether or not the internet gods are with us and allow that to occur. But thank you all for joining us tonight. We originally, so Amy and I just got back from a European cruise and a trip to Spain. And originally we were going to film and put up today the second part of our DVC Q&A that we've been meaning to do for a little while. That was postponed, though, when we heard about Hurricane Milton on the way. So we said, let's come to you guys, answer some questions about, going through a hurricane here in the Orlando area, going through a hurricane at Walt Disney World, and also just kind of give you the latest as to what's going on down here at the moment. And then we'll be back to your regularly scheduled programming next week. Next week, we'll actually probably do that Q&A.
Right. So we were supposed to film this week, right? On Hurricane Day. We were supposed to film Wednesday, Thursday for the show. So we'll have to figure that out because we're not going to be able to film until next week now. But can I just say that I feel like we look so disheveled right now that you look like you haven't shaved in a while.
I committed yesterday to the hurricane beard. So
this is what my hair looks like when I don't dry it. It's just a mess.
Yeah. So my day started at 6 a.m. at Lowe's buying plywood to board up our windows. So Amy and I do live pretty far inland, so we are in basically kind of the Lakeland area of Florida.
Yeah, I looked and we're 50 miles from Tampa.
Yep.
So it was 52 minutes to get there when I looked a little bit ago, but I think that's because nobody's on the road heading to Tampa. Everybody's heading out.
So we said Saturday. I've lost track of days. We are disheveled. That is truth. But we on Saturday, actually, my neighbor Matt, who actually works for the local fire department here where we live, messaged me. We actually lost a fence in Hurricane Ian back in 2022. And so he messaged me and said, hey, have you seen what's going on? Have you seen the updates? And I said, yeah. And he goes, I think I'm going to take the fence down. So that's when kind of plans started into action as to what we were doing here locally. We do not have any flooding risk where we live. We are actually pretty elevated where we are. So our biggest risk is both wind and rain, obviously. And so we did make the decision to board up the windows this time around, just given the predictions. And I didn't tell you that I was going to mention this, but I feel like there's no better time to mention it. We are moving soon. We are actually moving north, and we are moving to the Claremont, Mineola area of Orlando. So we are in the process of building a house.
Yeah, we're supposed to list our house for sale next week. So,
so we're basically we want everything to hopefully stay as it is.
Yeah,
so we
don't want
any process,
any issues.
But yeah, we'll be moving. The background here will change at some point over the next 3 months or so. But so we've got a lot of stuff going on. I did see a comment come through a little bit ago, and I did just want to address it real quickly. We did have someone, Shelly, actually said, "Hey guys, we're in East Tennessee. Lots of people still impacted
Mm,
by Helene. Helene was unprecedented
yeah.
for Tennessee and North Carolina. Prayers
Hmm.
to those in the path of Milton." And very, very true with
Right.
Helene.
And so that's the thing with Helene is that, you know, it hit the Big Bend of Florida first
Mhm.
and it was bad there, but they at least knew ahead of time. Whereas that just doesn't happen. What, you know, in Tennessee, North Carolina, where they got such really bad flooding and it was just devastating. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and the
yeah.
Tampa area is actually reeling from that too. You know, it wasn't even in the kind of near the center of that, but how that storm came up the coast, it pushed so much storm surge into the Tampa area that a lot of areas that we know were
Mhm.
impacted. We have several friends that actually were impacted. Their homes were impacted in that area. So they're reeling already. And unfortunately, as we'll see here in a couple minutes, it looks like Milton is going to maybe do the same, if not worse, to the Tampa area. So just so much love being sent out to anyone impacted by Helene and anyone that is being impacted by Hurricane Milton. And I think that's kind of where I want to start the conversation tonight, focused on what you all probably have questions about, which is how is this impacting the Disney World area, and how is this impacting Disney Vacation Club members? And if my technology cooperates, we'll see how we do here. But over on the Walt Disney World website, you will see updates related to the weather information and any pertinent updates related to Disney parks and Disney resorts as it pertains to Hurricane Milton. And as of now, basically they're continuing regular operations through tomorrow, Tuesday, October 8th. But they have announced that Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground will be closing.
Mhm. So that's the entire resort,
Correct.
cabins, obviously campgrounds.
Yep.
Yeah. So they
Uh,
relocate. They'll relocate those guests to
Correct.
hotels.
Yeah. Copper Creek Cabins at
Hmm.
Disney's Fort Wilderness Lodge and the Treehouse Villas at
I
Disney's
can't believe the
Saratoga
bungalows
Springs.
aren't on
Uh,
there yet.
Yeah, I'm sure that they will be added here at some point in time, that they'll
Mhm.
be adding the Polynesian bungalows because they typically do evacuate those as
Mhm.
well, and they will remove those guests into a different area. So I'm sure they have many different metrics that they kind of gauge these things, but
Mhm.
all of those areas will close beginning at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, October 9th. And I think the interesting thing for anyone that is coming down here this week or coming down here soon is the statements on reopening of these areas. So, Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground and the Treehouse Villas at Saratoga Springs likely to remain closed until Sunday, October 13th. So, all the way through this coming weekend. And then the cabins at Copper Creek and Wilderness Lodge, those are likely to reopen on Friday, October 11th. So these are the updates that were most recent as of 6 p.m. This
Mhm.
evening. All of this is really pointing to, I think the writing is on the wall that we're going to see a closure of Walt Disney World. And it's going to be either Wednesday and Thursday or part of Wednesday and Thursday. The storm, it continues to shift in terms of its timing and everything.
Mhm.
But Wednesday, Thursday, those are kind of the big days. And so those are going to be kind of the key time frames that are involved.
Yeah. So before there was one question or there was a statement that I wanted to address. It's
Yeah.
it's near the top. But before we do that, someone said that there were both Hurricane Amy and Paul at
Oh,
one point. And then
okay.
someone else said, Aaron Moore said there was a tropical storm Amy in 1975. And Steve Brown said there have been both hurricanes. So see, I told you.
Yeah.
Um, I wasn't born until 86, so I missed Tropical Storm Amy. Can you scroll all the way up to like the beginning of the okay. No,
Mhm.
it was before that.
Like
Okay.
before we went
It was
live?
before we went live. Yeah, it
Oh,
was the people
yeah.
that were
I
talking
can't,
before.
my technology
Okay, I
skills are
found it.
good, but they're not
So
that good.
David Neal said he has a friend down there for fall break. She told me there were no rooms available. Going to be interesting with max capacity at the resorts in a hurricane. So Well, I think what a lot of people don't realize, and this changed um, after the pandemic, basically. So we were at Disney during Hurricane Dorian,
Yes.
which never really came, but it looked like it was going to. And you could get a room, the days leading up to the hurricane. Do you remember DVC inventory? You could have anything you
Yeah.
wanted, like
Yep.
anything you wanted. So we end up switching rooms and then when we were there, we were able to add 3 extra nights at Boardwalk. And so it was really easy, especially for locals who maybe needed a place to evacuate to that had DVC points to get on there and grab something. And that was in 2019. In 2022, when Ian hit, Disney changed what they were doing, and they did the same thing this year. And that was it ahead of the storm. And do you remember what day they just did this? They pretty much closed down reservations for both DVC and hotel bookings a couple days ago.
Yeah, they did it over the weekend, this past weekend, and it's done for many different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons is obviously the closures that we just, mentioned a couple minutes ago, related to the Fort Wilderness cabins, Copper Creek, all of that. They need places to put these guests.
Yeah.
They also do want to leave a room inventory available for those people that are looking to evacuate. And someone mentioned in the comments a couple minutes ago that someone was a cast member, and they were trying to get them to evacuate. Keep in mind that Central Florida, the Walt Disney World area, is actually basically written in on some of the evacuation plans for the coastal cities. So people would actually tell you to go to Walt Disney World or try to get a reservation at Walt Disney World. And I mean, these are very, very built to code buildings that are designed to withstand these things. Damage does happen. We've seen it across Walt Disney World before. I think it was like Dorian. There was some big trees uprooted at Polynesian, or maybe it was a different storm. I don't remember at this point, but those places are very safe to be, and they have very strict protocols that they enact there. So, if you are at Walt Disney World currently, I do believe you're in one of the safest places. Again, you're not in a coastal outlying area in which you are subject to the storm surge, which is really the biggest damage maker when it comes to these, or major flooding. So those areas are kind of safe from that. And then, you just have to deal with the wind and the rain. So.
Yeah. Well, they also have ride out crews. So
Yep.
they have cast members that come in and get locked into the resorts and work, and they give them real rooms to stay in. Of course, I don't know where else they would stay.
Yeah.
So that's another factor. I think that if you called and you were evacuating, there might be an inventory for that, but you might also have to wait until they figure out, all the guests that they're moving from the Fort Wilderness is a huge resort. So they've got to remove all those guests and all the tree houses. There's several tree houses. And so
Corey asked, which would you say is the safest resort?
I don't think there's any. I mean, there's no resorts that's made out of sticks, but
Fort Wilderness.
I would personally rather stay at a deluxe resort. This is the benefit of being a DVC owner, where especially actually we did an episode a while back. It was just me and Paul, and we ranked every DVC resort by like best and worst during a hurricane.
Yep.
And basically the DVC resorts that ranked the lowest were like Saratoga, Old Key West. They're not bad resorts. You're still going to be safe, but your door opens to the outside. You're kind of far from the the lobby area. So, when you look at that, I would rather be at like Jumbo House, Copper Creek, as opposed to All Stars, or really spread out, or even Old Key West, where I'm very spread out.
Yeah, I think you really have to focus on the buildings that are very much kind of
Riviera. Everything's
everything's
there
in one
inside.
area. You don't have to like go outside like boardwalk and walk on the boardwalk to get some food or something.
Yeah.
You know, I originally when I saw this question, my head went to Contemporary and Bay Lake Tower, but I wouldn't actually want to go to Bay Lake Tower because you can't get to anything across the way.
Right. And you cross that bridge, hit a windstorm. Do you remember we did one time? It wasn't a hurricane.
It was a bad
It was just a
thunderstorm.
really bad thunderstorm. That was so scary. So yeah, to me, the safest is, and actually, I'm going to go a step further. To me, the absolute safest, if I'm a DVC member and I'm already going to be staying there and I'm like, there might be a hurricane. What am I going to book? I'm going to book a Jumbo House. I'm going to stay at Jumbo House and I'm going to park my car at Kidani under the parking garage where my car is going to be safe. And no, the parking garage doesn't flood. Someone asked that one time. It does not.
Smart. So the second part of kind of these questions often go to what is going to happen related to your points, what is going to happen related to people that are staying there at this present time, or people that are considering to cancel their upcoming reservations. And Disney does have basically a hurricane policy in place, which is in effect as of right now. And we do have a blog over on dvcfan.com, which outlines the hurricane policy overall. But the policy in general basically says that once we move into basically a hurricane warning status in the Orlando area, you can cancel without penalty your Disney Vacation Club stay. And those points are going to be returned back to the use year that they came from. In some circumstances, I have even known them to allow those points to be banked forward if they even are past their banking deadline. You always want to just kind of explain your situation to the cast member you speak with at member services and basically have them see what they can do. But essentially, they will return those points. They are not subject to holding or anything of that sort of nature. So basically, no penalties related to that room cancellation. And that is essentially what is in effect right now for Disney Vacation Club members that are traveling over the course of the next few days.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say, I'm kind of backing up again because I'm reading the comments. If you're actually in a hurricane, the winds are actually blowing, they're not going to make you walk outside to get food. So for example, at Boardwalk, there's actually a way to stay inside the building and get to the conference center. Lauren just said, Boardwalk Villa has buffets in the conference center, during past hurricanes. So they're not doing room service or anything like that, but they have food offerings that are usually easier to get to. So in the case of Jumbo House, it's probably likely that they would set up a buffet, at Boma. It might not be Boma's buffet. It'll be like a special reduced price hurricane buffet of other items, but you wouldn't have to go outside to get to the Mara. They would have options inside for you. Unfortunately, when you stay at like Saratoga or Old Key West, they don't really have the space to have that, and there's no way to get everybody from their building safely to it. So they do like grab and go meals where you can come and pick them up and take them back to your room.
Yeah, we've been made. It varies. It's always like I don't know what to expect when it comes to this, and that's mainly because we did Hurricane Dorian. We were actually at Boardwalk for that hurricane. We added on days to our stay. We actually had one night that we purchased a cash room, which was discounted because of the hurricane. So they do have hurricane rates related to cash rooms if there are cash rooms available. And sometimes they do hold those back, which is why we've seen kind of reservations held back, I think, over the past few days.
Right. But usually it's your best bet is asking at the front desk.
Yeah.
They want to give them the people that are there that need to extend.
When you do check in, essentially they're going to kind of let you know what that resort's policies are. And for us with Hurricane Dorian, I think it was I mean, making light of the situation, it was very professionally done. It was a good experience. They knew what they were doing. They had a plan in place. Hurricane Ian, when that happened 2 years ago, you quickly realized, in my opinion, the effects of the pandemic and how many cast members left that maybe kind of knew that procedure, because there were a lot of decisions that were made at that time that, didn't make too much sense. So let's say that someone had a split stay and they were checking in on Tuesday and checking out on Thursday and moving to a different resort on Thursday. Well, they were canceling that second stay because Thursday was the day the hurricane was coming. But then the person was kind of left going, well, then I just step outside and go outside for the hurricane. And so it got
Yeah, I
better.
remember that.
It got better as things went on throughout that week and everything. But it just it kind of it's a hit or miss as to kind of that situation. So the biggest thing with these storms, I think, is always planning ahead. Always, when you begin to see any kind of potential impact, just put a plan in place for yourself if you are someone that is traveling here, because that, touch base with Disney Vacation Club, ask them questions, touch base with Disney, that's just going to make your life easier when it comes to kind of navigating this entire situation. So, we were going to have Panda on tonight, but if you can tell from the comments that he's putting in the chat, he's
right. If someone can give some love to Panda, he's having a bit of a rough waiting out the storm coming.
Yeah.
He's a little nervous, so
and rightfully so. We all kind of are a little nervous, not sure exactly what to expect with this hurricane, and it's important that you take them pretty seriously. I think right now, and we can kind of pivot to this and talk a little bit about what's going on with the storm at the most recent point. But do you want to talk about Dennis Phillips while I find what I'm
So one of the people that we definitely recommend that you follow if you are going to be watching for the storm, because look, there's a lot of news out there. Some of it's great, some of it's not. Some of it is very sensationalized, worst case scenario after worst case scenario, very hyped up, thriving on the panic and the chaos. We recommend that you find a reputable news source that is going to be honest, but also, more level-headed. And for us, that's been Dennis Phillips. So you can follow him on social media. He's on Facebook. He's on Instagram. He's been going live a lot. He was just live on Facebook recently. And what was funny was that we got a message. He must have been banning people that were bringing politics into the chat. And we got a message from Derek that's like, oh, Dennis Phillips was just having fun banning people. And then Lauren De La Cruz said the exact same thing in a different chat. So everybody's watching him, especially those of us that are local. We've learned who we can trust, and he's just very reasonable about it. So he's constantly updating throughout several times a day, so he's a great option to follow. It is Dennis, Denis, so only one N, Phillips, if you are looking for that on Facebook or Instagram. But Paul just put up, one of his last posts. But one of the things that he's been saying, obviously we don't want to take the storm lightly, but it is going to be it's going to be really bad in a small area, and we don't know, what that area is yet. And by the time it gets to Central Florida, the winds should reduce some. I don't think that Paul and I are going to get hit by a Cat 5 hurricane or even 4 by the time it gets to us. Obviously, you want to be prepared, but we don't also want to make anybody over panic. But what are you looking for?
Oh, I'm trying to get Jeff all hooked up here so that he can go live from Disney World. But I sent it in the wrong chat, and so DVC Dan just actually chimed into the green room, but then he left. So apparently he didn't want to talk to anyone.
Aw, DVC Dan.
No, DVC Dan, you were not actually on the show, but I did see you in the green room, which was hilarious.
What is the green room? Like
it's like behind the scenes. It's like where I
Oh.
see them come in, and then I can bring them into the show. Anyhow, up on the screen, did you read through this yet?
I didn't read through the whole thing, but
Okay.
I just kind of
Did the highlights and everything.
yeah, we're good.
As Amy said, Dennis does kind of give us the best information when it comes to not sensationalizing this. And there are several people out there that are very good in terms of providing decent information. And so it's take it seriously, but also take it seriously in the right ways.
Sorry, I was laughing at Panda.
Oh, is he still?
Oh yeah. Oh, at least he's making jokes now.
Okay,
So
that's
we're
good. So we've got
Jeff with the Werther. Did he misspell weather?
It's very. I mean, it's high.
He was at Trader Sam's, so that might be why.
It's highly likely that
there he is. He literally looks like he's in a haze
as Werther. But let's take it live here to Jeff Haslam
from Disney World.
This is just absolutely wild, Jeff.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
We definitely can hear you. How's the conditions out there, Jeff?
It's a hurricane. No, I'm just kidding. It's been raining right now. It's great. It's a perfect night.
Man, you needed Amy to stand with like a fan or something to make it look a little more, sensational.
My son Carter's here with me and joke about that he was going to stand off camera and just throw buckets of water at me and stuff. But no, it's a very pleasant night. It's very cool.
Calm before the storm.
It's a great night to be at Disney World.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Have you noticed any preparations that they've been doing around the resort or anything?
Yeah, definitely. They started early in the day with, the signage started to pop up in separate, some of the areas, things like, inclement weather coming, wet conditions, watch your step, those kinds of things. And as the day progressed, you started to see a lot more of that. Staff started to get boots on the ground. I talked to a couple of staff members. I heard you guys talking about the hotel rooms, the inventory, the resorts that they're closing. One of the cast members here at the Polynesian and one in the Tron Q are actually on the hurricane team for Disney World. Mm-hmm. And so they got their room assignments early. I don't know if people know, but Disney does have a staff that volunteers to be available for the hurricane, and they stay here in some of those rooms that they pull back so that they can be on site to help.
As a new Floridian, what are your thoughts on the impending hurricane, and do you have any questions or concerns as you embark on this?
It's kind of been equal parts nerves and humor. Me, I always try to find the humor in everything.
Yep.
Amy Krieger has been keeping us pretty low key as far as our stress levels. So I'm not as worried about it as I was yesterday. Obviously, we'll know a little bit more tomorrow, but we're gonna wait it out and see.
Derek's trolling you in the chat. We got Okie Jeff, Jeff Cantori, Finger Guns Haslam. Can we give you any more nicknames? Jeff actually was messaging me before the show, and if we had planned this better, we should have gotten him like a DVC fan windbreaker like Jim Cantori, and some goggles and stuff to kind of play it up. But
I'd wade out in the water if there weren't alligators out there.
Yeah, don't do that, please. But yeah, man. So you've had a good day at the parks. Is it crowd level's been lower than normal or been busy?
Very crowded. Very crowded today. I think people are trying to get their last minute fun in before they kind of get tuckered in. And we did all the big rides today and then tagged out, came over to the Poly for dinner, and probably go home and just start getting the rest of our preparations finished up.
Cool.
Did you finish dinner, Ohana? Yay or nay?
No, I just took a break. They just barely brought out the bread. They sat us a little late. So
well, then you can't judge it yet.
Well,
no, not yet. But believe me, I will tell you how it is.
Well, we'll let you get back to your dinner, Jeff. Thank you for coming to us with the live report from Disney World, where it's a regular Monday night.
No worries. I just wanted to touch one more thing, and then I'll tag out. But I heard you guys talking about safest resorts and being just safe generally at Disney World, and I just want to know, I was here for Hurricane Ian 2 years ago. We were at the
That's right.
Riviera, and I just really don't think there's a safer place to be. Thoughts and prayers out to everybody on the coast. They're definitely going to get it worse than we are. So I hope everybody's taking their evacuation order seriously. I hope everybody's safe and can continue to be a part of this community. So
yeah, I know you've got friends like we do that are in the coastal areas. A lot of them have been evacuating already. We heard a little bit earlier today that basically to get from Tampa to Orlando, and this is awesome. We got I'm mesmerized by the fireworks behind Jeff right now. So
oh
I
yeah,
picked a
look
good
at
spot.
there we go. But the commute from Tampa to Orlando right now is like upwards of 4 or 5 hours just to kind of get there. So there are a lot of people.
Well, truthfully, normally it takes about 40 minutes to get from my house to Magic Kingdom. This morning it took us 2 hours. So even earlier today, you could already still.
Oh wow.
And there is no gas to be found within about 10 miles of my house.
Yeah.
All the gas stations are empty. So.
So planning early is the best. We'll
right.
go enjoy happily ever after with your family. Report back. Let us know how dinner goes. But
Sounds
thank
good.
you, Jeff. We will see you soon. Okay, buddy?
Good luck, everybody. Stay safe.
All right. Bye.
I swear he looked like Jim Cantori.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that just
He's a doppelganger.
Like, it was like the windbreaker and the hat, and that was funny.
Jeff's parting words were that if you enjoyed his appearance, make sure you hit that like button right now so that more people get to see him as Jim Cantori.
Jeff Cantori
Jeff
is
Cantori.
what they were saying in the comments.
So the other thing that I wanted to kind of walk through real quick is just the most recent update. I know we talked a little bit about Dennis Phillips, but the most recent update as of 4 p.m., and I'll just give this puppy a little refresh. Yeah, that is still our most recent.
4 p.m. is as early as recent as we've got.
That is our most recent update on the hurricane. So I think the big thing here, if you live anywhere within the area of the cone, even though you're not in the middle of the cone, don't rule this thing out.
This is pretty much all of Florida.
We've seen this thing move north. We've seen this thing move south. It's a little bit all over the place right now. It is a Category 5 hurricane at the moment. They're kind of expecting it to back down as it comes closer to land. But we as Floridians hear these things and we hear possibilities. And just as they tell us not to focus on the cone or where you are at in the cone, at the same time, we don't really focus on the possibility that it's going to kind of come down. We just basically know that we have a Category 5 hurricane coming towards us at the moment, and we'll be kind of continuing to monitor what that looks like. On the National Weather Service Hurricane Center website, there are a bunch of different options here if you want to peruse kind of what kind of maps they have, wind maps, rainfall maps, all that kind of fun stuff. My personal favorite is the warnings and cone interactive map. It does kind of average all of the models based off of the cone as it is at the moment and kind of gives you an estimated track as of the last updates that came out.
That's like we're a little bit more south of that, right?
We are. Yes.
We Disney's like right there.
Yeah, and I think the big thing here is, we have a lot of friends that live in the Tampa area, and the further north this goes, the more it's going to be bad for Tampa. The more water and storm surge is going to push into that area, and that's what it's been trending recently as you kind of zoom in here. The other big thing is an indicator here. If you're familiar with the area, this line is basically I-4. So basically at the moment, the hurricane just is kind of going to ride I-4 all the way from Tampa, all the way up to Orlando, and then come out the other side, which is very close to the Port Canaveral area. So, we're going to see it basically coast to coast in terms of some areas. Amy and I are kind of like down here somewhere on this map. So, right now, we're a little bit south, but we're going to be very close to this thing.
We're closer to that line than you think. Because look, there's Lakeland right there.
Yeah, but we're down here.
We're down
I know exactly where we're at.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Apparently my geography skills are
I've looked at this map way too much today. But again, this is just at the moment. And again, this is the average of the entire cone section. So it could even go as far north up here, back into the bend almost, or it could come pretty far south. So, it's, we're just going to kind of have to wait and see. But if you are just now watching this and starting to prepare for the hurricane, you need to get ready. I'm not a meteorologist.
Okay.
I wanted to be when I was a kid.
I don't know if I did just a quick like tips for vacationers and locals.
You sure did.
And I don't want to read through that or anything, but I do want to show something. So,
oh boy.
Okay.
Here we go.
Let me tell you guys, and I'm not sponsored. I don't have any connection to these, but my mom gave me these light bulbs, and she actually just sent me 2 more today from Amazon. So you can find them on Amazon. The brand, I wish I could pronounce it. So I keep wanting to say Jackson Lux, but there's no S in there. So how would you say that? Right. It almost sounds bad.
I'm not.
So it's spelled JACKONLUX. And it's all one word. I don't know if no. There you go. No. Man, I'm so bad at this. Anyway, this is what's cool. So this is it looks like an ordinary light bulb. If you touch it, there's no buttons or anything like that. But if you complete the connection, so I used to mess with people and I'd be like, look, I'm a potato. I'm like a potato clock. So all I have to do is complete the connection here somehow by touching, the right spots, and it lights up. So what it is it's a rechargeable light bulb. And as you're using it, like I have one in my regular office lamp. So I use it. It's just my office light. And anytime that it's plugged into a lamp, it is automatically charging. And then if your power goes out, as long as the circuit is completed, which all you have to do is have it plugged into a lamp, have the lamp plugged into the wall. Even if you have no power, that completes the circuit. You turn the lamp on, the light comes on. When you buy them, they also come with these little plug things. And I know I'm like blocking the mic. They come with these little plug things that you can just screw it on, and there's a hook on it. And so you can just hang it up with it on. But honestly, you can walk around your house like a wizard if you really want to. Lumos. So anyway, they're very cool. They're inexpensive. They last a long time. So you have a way to just have like a lamp on when you don't have any power. So just wanted to show you that. Jackson Lux without an S.
Well, that was fun.
That was my infomercial.
All right. While we are kind of walking through some of Amy's hurricane tips, if you do have questions regarding how this maybe affects your Disney vacation, how this affects your Disney Vacation Club vacation, any questions related to the storm or hurricane, put those in the comments now, and we'll kind of do a Q&A here in a minute. I did pull up Amy's little tips, Amy's hurricane tips for visitors and locals alike. That she
Mandy said, when the power is out, you won't be rolling your eyes when I turn all my lamp bulbs on. Someone asked if we turn up our mic. Was that just my fault?
You might have been blocking it.
I might have been blocking it. I'm sorry.
Well, they're basically the same as they typically are for the shows. So, so for the hurricane tips, stay informed. We already talked about Dennis Phillips and everything. Plan your stay. Choose the accommodation with solid construction. We discussed kind of what our choices are there.
I do want to say, everybody wants to be at Disney, but especially for locals, if you don't already have a reservation at Disney, that might not be a possibility. There are other very safe places that you can go as well in Orlando. There are several resorts and hotels that are offering hurricane discounts. Look into places like Universal, Marriott, Hilton, Rosen, which I mentioned later down in this, and we'll get to that next because they are pet friendly. But there are definitely a lot of other places as well. Disney's not the only option. So if you ever feel like you're in a position and you can't get a room at Disney and you're here, there are lots and lots and lots of other safe hotels that you can go to.
Love number 5 on this list. Consider trip insurance. This has been a big one for us just because we've had a lot of cruises over the past year. So we actually, again, this is not sponsored, but I think we bought an Allianz travel insurance policy that was a blanket policy that covered us for the entire year. Now, it did not cover every single vacation of ours. It basically maxes out at, I think, like a value of like $5,000.
Basically, if you used it, you would
use it for one.
Then for one, then you would have to get another policy.
Another so,
yeah, which is fine.
But total was like $500. So the way we viewed it is we were spending like $500 to basically protect all of our vacations in some fashion over the course of the year. And we've had a lot of stuff going on this year that could have potentially impacted a vacation.
Right.
And so we just said, you know, that's a safe investment. And so depending on how often you travel or how often you come down here, that is something to consider as well. Create a hurricane kit, have water.
Yeah.
Some of these things are for
locals.
More for locals, but you know.
But if you're staying at the resorts, you are going to want to have some snacks and some food. And typically Disney has not lost power and they have the right amount of generators and things like that. So you probably could use your kitchen or your kitchenette. You're probably not gonna be able to go out if, you know, during the storm. It might even be dangerous following the storm if there's a lot of debris and stuff. So bring snacks, bring your medicine, you know, bring what you need to your room. That's for everybody.
Yep. Plan for power outages. I think the light infomercial did enough to discuss that one. Stay connected. Emergency contacts. I do this throughout the hurricane.
Said anytime you had a good idea, I had to like hold the light bulb up. Like,
well, here's my good idea. During Hurricane Ian, I started doing basically like every couple hours. I did like Paul's hurricane updates on my Instagram, and it was one for me to just get through the storm, but also it was a way to keep our families informed and our friends informed of how we were doing throughout the storm. So.
Yeah, you don't get a light bulb for that because your last update was like it was a picture of darkness, and it was like darkness, my old friend. Like it wasn't that bad, but that's how it felt. And then he finally fell asleep, and my mom called in a panic because he hadn't posted an update for a long time since the darkness. So
all right,
no light bulb for you.
I might have to do a better job of that this time around. Prep any fences ahead of time. We mentioned before that we lost our fence. We've already taken down a section of it, and we'll be taking off a gate.
Yeah, if you're local, and especially there's a lot of DVC members that are new local Floridians, and this is their first hurricane, like Jeff and Amy.
Yep.
But there's a lot of other ones I've seen a lot. She's on our Patreon. She's a new Floridian. Anyway. If you have a privacy fence, take the caps off, which we need to do tomorrow because 1, they can blow away, and 2, you kind of let more air to kind of flow through better, and remove your gate. Oh my goodness. Take the gate off the hinges, put it in your garage. We thought we were so smart last time during Ian, and we put a padlock on our gate. Like, oh, it's not going to open now. It's Jennifer, and she's a new Floridian in Davenport area, so she's kind of close to us. Anyway, take your gate off your hinges because we put a padlock on it. We thought now it can't swing open, and
ripped that thing clean off.
Ripped it straight off. And so that was one of our biggest expenses because gates are expensive.
Yeah,
they're the most expensive part of
your fence. And so you don't want to have to be
Jennifer. Yeah, there she is. She's right there. Is that is that a greyhound?
No.
Oh, it's just a dog with a big snooter.
The mouth is open.
And ears like a greyhound.
And speaking of dogs, most important tip, don't break into your hurricane snacks too soon. Our dogs have plenty of hurricane snacks. We have plenty of hurricane snacks. We've done good so far in not eating any of you're lighting up the light under the table now.
I was just playing with it.
But we've done good so far. We've not touched our hurricane snacks.
Yeah. The one thing that we never have done that I wish we would have done is we want some sort of generator, but I don't want a gas generator. So
I want a Nintendo Switch too.
And Paul is sad that he doesn't have a Nintendo Switch. Mind you, we had a Nintendo Switch years ago.
Twice.
And we sold it.
Once we sold it, once we returned it. So,
Aww.
but yeah, so those are kind of just some general tips on if you are down here riding out a hurricane for the first time, or if you're at the parks and resorts, kind of riding out a hurricane as well. I know there's been a lot of questions that have come in.
Yeah. Did you see that super chat? Yeah.
And first and foremost, want to thank Robert Ratz for the super chat. Thank you for keeping Disney fans safe. Just left the Disney Beach Club villas yesterday with my party of 13,
Ooh,
celebrating my daughter's 15th birthday.
Aww.
Happy birthday to your daughter. You guys helped me plan my whole vacation with your videos. So
thank you. And so glad that
Robert.
you and your family are home safe.
Yeah.
And you don't have to figure out, 13 people.
Yeah, you'll have to
keeping them safe in Florida.
You'll have to let us know what accommodations did you, I assume 13 people you did like multiple rooms.
Yeah, beach club.
At beach club. So you'll have to let us know. But thank you, Robert, for your generosity. That'll go towards the Nintendo Switch fund to help ride out the hurricane.
No, it won't. That ship has sailed. Somebody asked.
Yeah, let me go down all the way down here and then back up and then there we go.
Now keep going down.
There we go.
Oh, there's so many good.
Jeff wants to know, is someone giving Panda oxygen? I am not sure, but we are going to be in touch with Panda. Basically, we've got a good group chat going with the entire DVC Show team, and we'll be checking in on each other throughout the hurricane. Honestly, it's funny. I keep thinking back to Ian. Of all people during Ian that had the worst situation, but really didn't wasn't truthfully too much in the path of the hurricane, was Derek, because of where he lives. Like
he did have a bad
the
situation.
electric lines and the cable and all that.
His power was out forever.
Yeah, it was like weeks. Derek was without power, and we were like,
ours was only out like 2 days. So
ours was out long enough for us to decide that we were going to go to Jeff and Dan's.
We packed up and stayed with Jeff and Dan, but it came back on
when we got there. It came back on. So
yeah, and it's
this
like
time
an hour and a half, hour 40 drive.
This time, Jeff and Dan just expect us to leave the moment it goes out, so that hopefully by the time we get there, it comes back on a little bit quicker. Lauren De La Cruz is actually checking into. Will you put your light bulb
she
down?
Switches. I know, it's so fun to play with. Wait,
Lauren is actually checking into the boardwalk, I believe it is, tomorrow, and is going to check out the Cake Bake Shop, which picked the worst day ever.
Wait, you switch resorts on Thursday?
We picked the worst. Cake Bake Shop picked the worst day ever to potentially get ready to open.
Oh, that's their soft opening day.
Yeah, I think so. So, but anyhow, Lauren said, anything to be aware of when you have a split stay during this kind of weather? I switch on Thursday. I would
go to the front desk.
When you check in at Boardwalk tomorrow, I would definitely speak with them and tell them that you have a split stay booked, and see if potentially they would merge it into a single reservation and keep you at the boardwalk. May not be what you want, but is probably the best situation.
And Lauren, just out of curiosity, let us know what your other resort is supposed to be, where you're supposed to go.
Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have
Ryan
here?
mentioned Swan and Dolphin and Swan Reserve. Those are good options as well if there's no rooms at Disney, to look at those. There was another one I wanted to right there. Outside of Red Baron Mexican Pizza, what snacks do you have? Okay, so we have 2 Red Baron pizzas in our freezer, and I'm very concerned for them because last time we lost everything in our freezer. Not like that's a small price to pay for everything else being safe in our home. But I thought about cooking them and just putting them in the fridge so we'd have cold pizza sometime later. I don't know.
So for this very reason, this is, Mandy, I'm kicking myself over this because I have almost bought the battery powered generators that also can be charged via solar. I would say more than 10 times I have almost bought those because I have wanted them and I never did. And I could never justify the price based off of the fact that I knew I was only going to use them in situations like this.
Every 2 years or
But then you get here and you're like, that's why I wanted it. didn't want to lose the Red Baron pizzas in the fridge. So
yeah. Jeff chimed in and said to Lauren, for Ian, they had a split stay and they just kept them at the Riviera the whole time. So yeah, Lauren, I would definitely go to the front desk. I would not want you switching. Thursday is actually probably going to be one of the worst days. So I would definitely check into that. And yeah, she's supposed to go to the Grand Floridian.
Yep. I just have to point this up, but we mentioned Cake Bake Shop. So we think that Cake Bake is actually going to be opening here within the next week or so. We've heard rumblings that tomorrow might be a soft opening, but I wonder if maybe they've canceled that because of the storm and anything. But they said, how fast does that place close? If you've not been following this, we were very excited for Cake Bake. I was very excited for Cake Bake. It is up in Indianapolis, which is actually where the World of DVC is headquartered. And we've heard a lot of good things from a lot of people that work with us up there. And so, but the pricing is just
it's very disappointing for a lot of people. Yeah. Blown away. But I know Disney's expensive, and
this takes it to a whole nother level.
Something we realized when we were in Europe was, holy crap, food is affordable. Dining out is so affordable. We had drinks and appetizers and tapas and food, and it was like 30 something bucks. And so, you know, even though €1 is $1.12 in US dollars, it was still so cheap, you know, compared to what we've been used to over here at Disney. But then you're right, the Cake Bake Shop knocked it into a whole nother realm. $20 for a bowl of French onion soup. 20. And a shrimp po' boy was, I think it was like $34. So that was painful. You would pay, oh my gosh, 30, 40, 50, over 50, almost $60 probably after tax for soup and a sandwich for one person.
Yeah. And
I'm so blown away by that. And I was so excited.
The kids meals prices are like bonkers.
$18. Yeah.
That it's just, we know that there's going to be Disney inflation, but this is pretty astronomical. So either they've got to knock it out of the park, and this has got to be like
the best food ever,
or like Cheesecake Factory size portions, or just something absolutely amazing.
Yeah, but I can go to Cheesecake Factory and eat it a lot cheaper.
That is true. We haven't been to a Cheesecake Factory.
It's been like
for a long
10
time.
years, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's because everything over there is like 3,000 calories a piece.
Mr. Poe said, for split stays, would Disney accommodate it if it's a point stay versus a cash stay?
Yes.
They are very accommodating during these times. Realize that Disney probably has a fair share of cancellations going on right now. So, you know, I've helped facilitate some things before in hurricane situations. And, you know, if it is a split stay, you know, they're going to basically, if they can't accommodate you, they're probably going to call the resort that you're maybe checking into and seeing if maybe they can accommodate you for the full length of stay. So one of the two places most likely is going to be able to accommodate you for the entire length of stay. So just ask them, work with them, and kind of see, you know, what they're doing with all of that. Let's see. Laura said, fill your bathtubs with water. You may need it to flush the toilets. We did do that the last time.
Yeah, we'll do that.
We will do that again. We also have gallons of water from Hurricane Ian still.
We do.
Does water expire? That is a question we ask. I will be honest. Amy and I are not like bottled water drinkers. So we do have a whole house filtration system, but I will drink tap water.
We drink more tap water, or like from the fridge. Yeah.
Makes you stronger.
We drink a lot of water. I don't like bottled water. I think it tastes like plastic and chemicals. But we do have gallons, but they are from the last hurricane. So
Johnny asked, can we get a future non-related DVC episode just dedicated towards the puppies? I do want to do something where Emerson's sound asleep.
They're all three in here.
They're all three. They have to be wherever we're at. I do want to do a show even maybe it's a Patreon exclusive or something, but I do want to just talk through the experience that we had in Spain. So for those of you that do not know, Amy and I recently went to Spain and we brought home 7 galgos with us. So Spanish galgos.
They're
those
not
are
here
our dogs.
in our house.
They are not here in our house.
They went to foster care.
They went into foster
many
care.
have been adopted already.
Yeah. So we have always, since we got Hermes, we wanted to be flight guardians or flight patrons for dogs if we had the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
And it was tremendously fulfilling.
Yes, and
stressful,
a very
and
stressful,
a long day.
big learning experience on customs and the fine art of bringing animals from one country to the other, especially 7 of them. So it was fun stuff.
So definitely.
We had a super chat up there. Did you see that?
We did, yes. Emery Chen, who I do remember.
I recognize
I've
that.
not heard your name for a long time. So hope you're doing well, buddy. But said, back to survival. Do you guys have a Starlink Mini? I do not have a Starlink Mini. I have considered it. So one thing that we did recently do is we switched from Verizon to T-Mobile, and we have never looked back.
Oh my goodness.
It has been the best decision we have made in a long period of time. And on our trip,
we got free
international
data and texting.
At high speed rates. I think they gave us like 5 gigs.
It was 5 gigs, and then it slowed down after that. But we didn't hit it
like
until
day 6 or so.
It didn't tell me I was at 5 gigs until we were at the airport in Madrid heading home. So that was 12 days later.
So we have T-Mobile, and one thing that I do know is that with Helene in North Carolina, so T-Mobile does have a partnership with Starlink. And they basically tapped into the Starlink network. So basically T-Mobile is running off of Starlink in that area since they have so many cell towers down at the moment. So I don't know if we were to have a major impact that in basically kind of knocked out the cell infrastructure here, I would assume that they would probably do something very similar. But I've not invested in Starlink yet as much as I want to. But
hey, back to the cake bake shop. Emily Solomon said, Amy, I think Disney cake bake prices are even higher than their other locations. That is correct. We looked up the French onion soup in Indianapolis and it was $16 for a bowl. So $4 more at Disney, and other things are also obviously higher. So yes, it is higher than other locations. There's 2 locations in Indianapolis, right? And those are the only 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
The home designer said, are the cabins safe during a hurricane? How do you think they're connected to the ground? Don't trailer parks get hit hard? We did mention this earlier in the show, but they have actually announced a closure of the cabins at Fort Wilderness already. So the Fort Wilderness cabins are closing as of 11 a.m. on Wednesday. So they will move the guests out of all of those cabins. And it is going to be interesting to kind of see the long-term effect that this type of thing has on Fort Wilderness. Like, we were all blown away at Fort Wilderness dues when it was announced.
And now we know.
But this is why. These are the situations that are why. They are surrounded by trees. There's
no foundation.
It is a very vulnerable area over there. And so
skirted, basically.
And they're still working on these things. So I mean, there's whole loops that they've not even started. And
and it's interesting. So I don't do Instagram very well. If you follow me on Instagram, I hadn't posted for a year, and I finally accidentally got my Facebook connected to Instagram because I turned on professional mode on Facebook to see what it was about, and it connected the 2. So now when I post on Facebook, it posts on Instagram automatically. So it looks like I know what I'm doing now. Anyway, I follow this girl on Instagram that bought a Disney cabin, one of the old ones, recently, and they've been remodeling it and making it into their home. And
they were on like,
I think they were on the news or something.
Like national.
Yeah.
Like USA Today did an article on them or something.
Yes, that is them. But anyway, you realize like they haven't done anything to they haven't put up any skirting. So you realize it's like a mobile home on wheels. You know what I mean? And it's because they haven't put anything around it yet. So that's what they are. Yeah. And I imagine that the new shipping container ones aren't a whole lot different. And Anyways, Polywall.
Robert did chime back.
Mm-hmm.
Robert chimed back in and let us know he did two bedrooms for that stay, for the birthday stay. And our recommendations helped them get 2 cabanas at Stormalong Bay on Thursday.
Oh, well, that's a tough get. There's only a few of those.
It is a tough get. And then also they got a pontoon boat for the fireworks show at Epcot.
That's awesome.
That is the one that we've not done yet. Is the Epcot show.
Yeah.
And I've wanted to do that. I wondered about doing that. We really want to get a pontoon boat and go out and check out the poly construction sometime soon.
Just drive it around.
Have Derek drive us around.
Derek drive.
He can be our boat captain and kind of drive us around the lagoon. So let's see. We just did get another question, but for some reason this keeps going back to the top.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place.
Courtney said we're scheduled to arrive Thursday, going to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party on Friday and Epcot Saturday. Wondering if things will be up and running. What do you guys think?
They usually pick back up pretty fast after the hurricane. So I think that you have a very high chance of going to the Halloween party, Epcot on Saturday. But my concern is arriving on Thursday. Maybe later in the evening if you're arriving. I don't know.
I would keep a very close eye on things, and I would also watch your flight schedule. I don't know if you're driving. If you're driving, at this point, I would say driving or flying. I would definitely just watch the timing of the hurricane and its arrival here, because originally we were like, this thing's coming Wednesday morning. Now we know that this thing's coming late Wednesday into early Thursday based off of its current speed.
Right.
And so it could slow down more and get pushed into Thursday a little bit further. So if you are trying to drive here after it's over, so is everyone else that evacuated. So the roads are going to be very, very busy. If you're trying to fly here and it slows down, or even if it doesn't, the airports are just reopening. So expect delays, that type of stuff. So I'm not as concerned about Friday and things maybe being back up and running. Disney is very good about getting things, it's a money-making operation.
Right, they don't want to lose
They want to
days.
get things back up and running as quickly as possible. But it could be a little fun getting here on Thursday for sure. So just keep that in mind. Andre said, how is the flooding there during these hurricanes? Again, coastal outlying areas, those are going to be the areas that are most affected by flooding. We did see with Hurricane Ian in 2022, we did see some areas in Kissimmee that did experience some very, very bad flooding due to heavy rains. We expect a decent amount of rain with this storm, but they say that it's moving fast enough that we maybe should not see the kind of rain numbers that we saw with Ian. So let's hope that's the case. As far as Disney's concerned, never really had any severe issues. That far inland, it's going to take a tremendous amount of rain to really cause some major flooding issues in and around the Disney World.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to have that.
Yeah. Let's see. Andrew said, my friend's family flew to MCO today, check into Saratoga on Wednesday. Disney told them they should be fine.
If they're in Orlando.
If they're here already,
I would say tell them to get to Saratoga in the morning if they can.
Yeah. With how the schedule has started to shift, I think we're going to see maybe Disney kind of shut down midday on Wednesday. I don't know if they'll open the parks that day at all, but, we might see them sort of start to do their hotel lockdowns maybe midday on Wednesday and then extend that through Thursday. So it's really just kind of waiting for more information to come from them and kind of see, where things go from there. So we'll answer a couple more questions here, and then I want to go bust into our hurricanes next.
I told you weren't allowed to until you have to eat something out of the fridge or freezer. That's the rule. Until the power goes out, it has to be from the fridge or freezer.
Crush a dessert Red Baron pizza.
They don't make those, unfortunately.
Different question, but DVC related. Johnny O'Connor said, do you think direct DVC prices are going to increase next quarter? 100% yes. That is pretty standard for the first of the year. We see sold out resort prices increase and we see direct prices increase. I think that right after this round of incentives, as we get into the holiday season, we'll definitely see a increase in prices. I'm surprised that they didn't do it with Poly already, but I think it'll be coming pretty quickly.
The question under that, I think that's a yes. And Lauren De La Cruz or Ryan Chung are probably the ones that can answer this better. But is tomorrow the day to register for 2025 Moonlight Magic? Oh, I thought it was for the another 2024
It's for the 2024 dates,
yeah.
the additional Animal Kingdom dates.
But somebody who really knows.
Yeah, maybe in the comments.
Lauren or Ryan or somebody.
I'm pretty sure
I think it's for 2024.
Yeah.
But
is it the general registration?
Maybe, I don't know. But if it's for a 2025 date, we are way behind. Yes, thank you, Ryan. 2025 has not been announced yet. Tomorrow's registration is for something related to the 2024 dates that they added on to Animal Kingdom. They added, I think, 3 dates to Animal Kingdom.
Jennifer's already into her hurricane wine. Why can't I have my snacks?
This is Jennifer's first hurricane.
And she's been talking too much to Panda.
You've done this before. And she's been talking to Panda. And Panda's probably, we're sorry, Panda, you're probably not helping. You're probably both nervous. So you've done this before and you have to wait. And we actually only have 1 bottle of wine. Maybe 2.
No, we have at least 2 that I know of.
Oh.
Andrew said, unrelated to the hurricane, we are a June use year and have been going in May and looking to add on. Would be good idea to get a different use year, probably going to go October and May. It really depends on whether or not
they already have a June use year.
Yeah.
Obviously May is pretty crappy to travel for a June use year. But you know, if you're going to be changing when you go anyway, I would stick with 1 use year because that's easier. And you can always, you can move the points around really easily, combine them with the 7-month window, whatever. Unless you're like 100% sure that I'm always going to go in May. I'm always going to go in May. This June use year, it doesn't work for May very well because it's at the end of my use year. Then maybe consider a different use year. But I would think very I think very hard about that. I don't recommend different use years. There's small benefits that don't benefit most people. It only benefits people who want to move points between extra. I don't know. Stick with 1. It's the easiest.
Well, on that note, I think we're going to wind down for the night. Thank you all for kind of joining us for this live stream. I know a lot of you have sent us good wishes and wishing us well throughout the hurricane. Doing something like this just takes our mind off of it because, as Dennis Phillips says, waiting for a hurricane is like being stalked by a turtle. And we still have 2 days before anything really happens here.
And we boarded our windows and our house is dark.
All the cars are in the garage. So we're locked in now for the next few days.
Well,
so
we can still go outside.
We can still go outside. We can
we're
still
not
go
going anywhere.
We can go to Walmart and buy a Nintendo Switch or something.
No,
you never
not.
know what happens. But thank you all. Again, please stay tuned to dvcfan.com for the latest updates. In the DVC Fan Facebook group, we have a mega thread in which we are talking about
Jeff Gervasio.
in which we are talking about all of the latest updates, and we kind of have a live running tally of what things are announcing closures, but we will also have articles up over on dvcfan.com with that information as well. If you are here for the hurricane or if you are local and kind of riding out or evacuating, stay tuned to Dennis Phillips. Stay tuned to the NOAA Hurricane Center site for the latest information. But to all of you out there, stay safe. Please heed the warnings. If they're asking you to evacuate. And if you're coming to Disney World for vacation, put a smile on your face as you arrive, and realize that there are a lot of families maybe trying to get back home or trying to just stay safe here as well.
Or cast members
away
from their families. Yeah.
have families that are affected by this. So we wish so much love to everyone that is out there, and we'll continue to give you guys updates along the way. But that'll do it for this special live edition of the DVC Show. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you all next Monday.